August 1945, Jakarta. A microphone crackles. A nation awakens. At that microphone, Sukarno's hand trembles over the proclamation text. The ink still wet. A sudden crack of a rifle echoes. The microphone is shattered. Sukarno's voice is gone. The Pemuda gather outside. Phones in hand, they wait for the signal that never comes. The proclamation text remains in Sukarno's pocket. The revolution's heartbeat stops. Allied forces land unopposed. The beaches of Java are theirs for the taking. The Dutch East Indies government in exile arrives in Batavia. Their ships cut through the waves. British tanks roll into Jakarta. The colonial flag snaps in the wind. The Dutch East Indies government reestablishes its rule. The colonial administration is restored. No revolution, no war. The Dutch East Indies remains intact as the jewel of the empire. The world's largest archipelago stays under colonial rule. Forever. The Dutch East Indies government in exile begins drafting laws to suppress any dissent. The streets of Jakarta are patrolled by colonial troops. Curfews are imposed at dusk. The youth groups, once full of revolutionary fervor, now whisper in the shadows. The Dutch East Indies government in exile declares martial law across the archipelago. The window of revolution closes forever. The dream of independence fades into dust. The sudden absence of an Indonesian revolution sent shockwaves throughout Southeast Asia, leaving a power vacuum that shifted the regional dynamics. Without the inspiration of an Indonesian revolution, the Vietnamese and Burmese independence movements lost a crucial ally. Their momentum stalled and their prospects dimmed. The Dutch, emboldened by the absence of Indonesian resistance, poured resources into police actions that were now mere policing, their military expanding to incorporate local populations into a permanent garrison state. By the way, if you like this discussion, don't forget to subscribe. There are many more interesting topics coming up. Light bulb. The United States, fearing communist expansion in a fragmented archipelago, backed the Dutch colonial project as a stable bulwark, rather than pressing for decolonization, their calculus flipping in the face of a new global reality. The 1955 Bandung Conference never convened, the non-aligned movement lacking its architectural cornerstone, the global South entering the Cold War fragmented and leaderless, their voices silenced by the absence of Indonesian revolution. The absence of Indonesian revolution had far-reaching consequences. The world's map rewritten, the global South's fate sealed, and the course of history altered, the butterfly effect of a single event rippling out to touch countless lives. The world's course had been altered, the global South's fate sealed, and the absence of Indonesian revolution had become a new reality. A reality that would shape the course of history. The butterfly effect of a single event forever changing the world. The Malacca Strait glows under a perpetual twilight of naval dominance. No Indonesian flag waves here, only the Union Jack and Dutch Royal Standard. The Dutch KNIL soldiers patrol the streets of Jakarta. Not as liberators but as occupiers, the Dutch East Indies remains a jewel in the crown of the Dutch Empire. The Malacca and Sunda Straits are now NATO-controlled choke points for global trade. No Indonesian navy to challenge their authority. The seas belong to the West. The Cold War shifts its focus to this archipelago. A perpetual battleground, the Dutch East Indies becomes the new Vietnam, only with more resources. Nickel mines in Sulawesi run day and night, feeding European factories. No revenue sharing. The profits flow straight to Amsterdam. The environment pays the price. Forests vanish. Rivers run black with toxins. Java's population explodes. No transmigration to outer islands to relieve the pressure. Megaslums rise like cancer. Disease spreads. Crime thrives in the shadows. The Dutch build permanent garrisons. Local populations are conscripted into the colonial military. The Dutch East Indies is now a militarized fortress, its people divided and controlled. The world's largest nickel reserves fuel European industry, but the people here starve. The map of Southeast Asia today holds a gaping wound. No single nation spans the equator's emerald chain. Instead, a patchwork of Dutch overseas territories, American bases, and Chinese economic zones divides the islands. The world's fourth most populous country simply never existed. Java and Sumatra remain the crown jewels of a resurrected Dutch empire. The colonial flag still flies over Batavia's Grand Canals, but this is no museum piece. It is a heavily fortified garrison state, a Cold War bastion that never surrendered to the winds of decolonization. Papua's western half is no longer a province. It is a sprawling American military complex. Runways cut through the jungle, and nuclear submarines patrol the deep waters below. The Pentagon calls it the unsinkable aircraft carrier of the South Pacific, a fortress on the edge of Asia. North Sumatra and Kalimantan have become Chinese economic zones. Massive ports, refineries, and rail lines snake through the rainforest. Beijing controls the resources, but not the people. Local ethnic groups seethe under the weight of a distant master. The divide et impera strategy is alive and well. The world's largest nickel reserves lie locked under Dutch corporate vaults. A single European conglomerate, a ghost of the old Shell and Unilever empires, sets global prices. Every electric vehicle battery on Earth carries a hidden colonial tax. The Green Revolution runs on Dutch gold. Palm oil supply chains are brittle, priced in guilders and euros, not rupiah. A single storm in the Malacca Strait can spike global food prices overnight. The world's cooking oil, soap, and biofuel depend on a colonial relic, and the Dutch know it. They hold the world hostage with a fruit. There is no ASEAN, no Jakarta-led diplomacy, no unified voice for Southeast Asia. The region is a chessboard of external powers. The South China Sea is a free-for-all, and without a balancing power, the entire region is a powder keg waiting for a spark. Australia stares north at a militarized frontier it cannot control. Dutch jets scramble from Java. Chinese warships patrol the Timor Sea. The quiet beach suburbs of Darwin are now frontline towns. The lucky country has never felt so unlucky. India faces a northern frontier controlled by extra-regional powers. Chinese naval bases in the Andaman Sea threaten its eastern coast. The Indian Ocean is no longer a zone of peace. New Delhi's worst nightmare is a permanent foreign presence on its maritime doorstep. 280 million people never born as Indonesians. The world's fourth largest population is simply absent. No shared language, no national anthem, no red and white flag. The demographic void reshapes global migration, labor markets, and cultural exchange forever. Hundreds of ethnic groups remain trapped in eternal sectarianism. No Pancasila to unite them, no Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. The Dutch divide and rule, pitting Aceh against Batak, Bali against Lombok. The archipelago is a patchwork of simmering hatreds, managed by colonial masters. Java's population pressure explodes without outer island outlets. Megaslums stretch for miles around Batavia and Surabaya. No transmigration program ever redistributed the masses. The island is a pressure cooker of poverty, disease, and desperation. A ticking time bomb. The global south enters the 21st century fragmented and leaderless. No Bandung Conference ever forged a common identity. No non-aligned movement. The post-colonial world is a collection of weak states, each dependent on a patron. The voice of the developing world is silent. So, what if Indonesia never existed? The world breaks in ways we can barely comprehend. The global economy, the balance of power, the very idea of a united Southeast Asia. All gone. The only thing left is a question. What would you fight for? What is the dark truth behind this event? Share your theory below and watch our next investigation. Hi there. If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe. Smiling face with smiling eyes, don't miss out. Subscribe today for exclusive content tomorrow. Wrapped gift.